Oh, I say, that's marvelous.
I say, I wonder what it'd be like to kiss anybody with a moustache like that.
I don't know.
Let's try.
What if everything you thought you knew about Hollywood's golden age was only half the story? Behind the glitz, glamour, and red carpets, some of the era's most famous women lived secret lives of love, desire, and scandal, hidden from the public eye. Today we're uncovering the untold romances and daring passions that shaped the legends of old Hollywood.
Watch out for her, she likes to wrestle.
Mercedes de Acosta. Mercedes de Acosta was a celebrated playwright and screenwriter, a true icon of her era. She became known not only for her work, but also for her high-profile relationships with some of Hollywood's most influential women. As a child, Mercedes felt more aligned with being a boy, and was affectionately nicknamed Raphael by her mother. Her bold personality and unconventional path continued into adulthood, leaving a lasting mark on the West Hollywood scene. Alice B. Toklas once said of her, "Say what you will about Mercedes, she's had the most important women of the 20th century." Indeed, among her most notable romances were long-term relationships with actress Eva Le Gallienne, the legendary Alla Nazimova, and the iconic dancer Isadora Duncan. Yet it was her connection with the elusive Greta Garbo that became the most talked about of her life. In 1920, Mercedes married a man, but she insisted that the wedding be kept private. According to the reports, she was displeased when tradition called for her to be carried over the threshold. Tallulah Bankhead. Tallulah Bankhead was a firecracker, on stage, on screen, and in life. Known for her sharp wit and unmistakable voice, she made her mark not only in theater, but also in radio, film, and television. She was bold, brash, and famously unfiltered. Tallulah never apologized for who she was. She lived loudly, drank heavily, and chased passion wherever she found it. From a young age, she embraced her sexuality without shame, and stories of her romantic entanglements, particularly with women, were whispered throughout Hollywood and Broadway. It's been said that nearly every prominent lesbian or bisexual woman of her era had some connection to her. She married once to actor John Emery, but the union lasted just 4 years. After that, she never remarried, saying she preferred her freedom. When asked about her many brief romances, Tallulah replied with typical flair, "I go into them impulsively, and I forget them just as quickly." She didn't care much for rules. The Hays office once labeled her unsuitable for the public due to what they called verbal moral turpitude. But to those who knew her, or simply watched her perform, Tallulah Bankhead was unforgettable. Marlene Dietrich. Marlene Dietrich lit up the screen like few others could. With her cool, commanding presence and daring style, she became one of Hollywood's most unforgettable stars. Film critic Kenneth Tynan once wrote of her, "She has sex but no positive gender. Her masculinity appeals to women and her sexuality to men." Before Hollywood, Dietrich had already made a name for herself in the wild, liberated nightlife of 1920s Berlin, a city she loved for its openness. After moving to America, she became a symbol of glamour and bold femininity. But behind the image was a woman who lived entirely on her own terms. She had numerous romances with men and with women, and sometimes with both sides of the same love triangle. It's said she didn't just cross boundaries, she danced right over them in high heels and a tuxedo. Alla Nazimova. On the stages of New York and the screens of early Hollywood, Alla Nazimova was a force to be reckoned with, but her influence extended far beyond acting. She quietly coined the phrase, the sewing circle, to describe a discreet network of lesbian, bisexual, and curious women in the film industry, stars who lived their truth behind closed doors. At her sprawling Sunset Boulevard estate, known as the Garden of Allah, Nazimova hosted gatherings that became the stuff of legend. By 1926, the estate was converted into a hotel, quickly turning into a haven for artists, writers, and performers who didn't quite fit Hollywood's mold. Nazimova was remarkably open for her time. She supported and helped launch the careers of other sewing circle women, including Jean Acker and Natasha Rambova. And from 1929 until her passing in 1945, she shared her life with her partner, Gleska Marshall. In a world built on illusion, Alla Nazimova dared to live something real. Katharine Hepburn. Long before she became a Hollywood icon, young Katharine Hepburn was already defying expectations. As a child, she shaved her head and insisted on being called Jimmy. Later, as an adult, she was famous not just for her fierce independence on screen, but for her boyish style and free-spirited bohemian attitude. Some in the industry whispered about her behind her back. One agent's wife even referred to her with a cruel nickname, but Katharine never seemed to care what others thought. Her first great companionship, many say, was with her college friend Laura Harding. They were inseparable for years, and while the true nature of their bond was never confirmed, it was clear they shared something deeply personal. In a town full of rules, Hepburn lived by her own. Eva Le Gallienne. Eva Le Gallienne never tried too hard to hide who she was, but she never quite embraced it either. At the peak of her strange career, she began a romance with actress Alla Nazimova. Later, she traveled through Europe with writer Mercedes de Acosta, visiting the famous salon of openly lesbian socialite Nathalie Barney in Paris. But her most public heartbreak came when she began a relationship with actress Josephine Hutchinson, who was still married. The press erupted in scandal. Eva, disillusioned, told a friend, "If you have any thoughts about being a lesbian, don't do it. Your life will be nothing but tragedy." Still, she continued to follow her passion for the stage. With director Margaret Webster, her next great love, Eva co-founded the American Repertory Theater, determined to leave her mark on the world no matter the cost. Greta Garbo. Greta Garbo was the very picture of mystery. While she dated men, she never married, unlike many of her peers in Hollywood's so-called sewing circle. Rather than play the publicity game, Garbo kept her private life just that, private. Her silence only added to her legend. Long before she became a star in America, 19-year-old Garbo worked on a little-known German film. There she crossed paths with the charismatic Marlene Dietrich, 4 years her senior. Bold, worldly, and known for her magnetic charm, according to historian Diana McClellan, Dietrich had a reputation for seducing beautiful women behind the scenes, and Garbo was no exception. But the experience left young Greta shaken. Sensitive by nature, she was reportedly so hurt that she denied ever knowing Dietrich for the rest of her life. Later in Hollywood, Garbo found more lasting companionship. She shared a close and enduring relationship with actress and screenwriter Selke Viertel, who also introduced her to writer Mercedes de Acosta. Those who knew her best say Garbo craved connection, but on her own quiet terms. Joan Crawford. Before she was a screen legend, Joan Crawford got her start as a stage dancer. She was thrilled to appear in a film alongside Greta Garbo, even if they never shared a scene. When they finally met, Garbo gently held Crawford's face and said, "What a pity. Our first picture together and we don't work with each other. I'm sorry. You have a marvelous face." Reflecting on that moment, Crawford later said, "If there was ever a time in my life when I might have been a lesbian, that was it. But was it really just a moment?" Some close to her said Joan had lovers of both sexes, and many of them knew her by the nickname Billy. In 1935, MGM allegedly paid $100,000 to bury an old film she appeared in, an explicit movie made when she was just 19. Unlike others from her era, hard evidence of her private life is scarce, but the rumors, they've never stopped. Barbara Stanwyck. Barbara Stanwyck was a force of nature on screen, sharp, independent, and unforgettable. Even in films where she played the romantic lead, something about her felt different. Actor Clifton Webb, who worked with her on Titanic, once called her "my favorite American lesbian." Though she kept her personal life private, Stanwyck's performances spoke volumes. As one biographer put it, she related to men differently, on her own terms. After a brief and difficult marriage in her early years, she went on to spend over 3 decades with her close companion and publicist, Helen Ferguson. Behind the Hollywood image was a woman who lived by her own rules. Dorothy Arzner. In an era when Hollywood sets were run entirely by men, Dorothy Arzner stood alone. She was the only female director in the industry at the time. Over 24 years, she directed more than 20 films and later taught a young Francis Ford Coppola, but also became the first woman admitted to the Directors Guild. Off-screen, Dorothy lived just as boldly. She spent many years with her partner, choreographer Marion Morgan, after rumored relationships with several well-known actresses in the business. These women lived and loved on their own terms. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden stories from Hollywood's golden age.